Hello, all you bladers, and what if the snake pit survived? So, the snake pit is an old temple in the middle of the jungle, founded and created by Ashtum, aka Theodore Glass, the owner of the Raging Bulls, and it was founded on the belief that only the strong can remain. To ensure this, they made bladers go by the name of Eye, for example, Yellow Eye, and Yellow Eye had Shadow Rocktivore, which is a copycat version of the original Bay. And every time they get any new info on the original Bay, they upgrade the copycat version. And this was basically like lots and lots of bladers. We only got to see 5 of them, and it got run down by Xander and his crew because Shu left. Shu was the most powerful blader, and Ashton was trying to focus on Shu. So after Shu left the snake pit, Ashton focused on Shu in the international tournament, and only few bladers remained and left the snake pit, like Boa, Norman Tarver, and Yellow Eye, who faced Rantaro in the finals of the team tournament cup thing. And yeah, so what if the snake pit survived is basically what if the snake pit was kept on running? What if Shu had evolved his Spryzen Requiem inside the snake pit and the whole thing was still going on? Copycats of Bays and everything. Now, if the losers lost, they got booted out, so only people who won. So the snake pit would pretty much stay out of sight. I assume that Vault and his crew would try to go back to the snake pit after getting booted out and just keep on trying until they can get to Shu and actually beat him. And then maybe they would talk some sense into him and maybe like try to I guess convince him to like turn back to the good side, remember their like friendship together or whatever, and then because Shu was possessed by Spryzen at that point, right? And he was already possessed by Spryzen in the international tournament because of Theodore. But if Theodore had all those bladers backing him up, he would be like Theodore would be like the king, and Shu would be like the general, and all the bladers would be like I guess the army. So there would be a whole army of bladers with copycat bays, and there's like Shadow Fafnir, Shadow Longinus. I assumed they would start with the smaller bays, which is why they started with things like Rocktivore and Doomsizer. So they would eventually create an entire army, and maybe like Vaults and all the good bladers with their original bays, and Shu with all the bad bladers with their evil bays would go head to head in battles in like a ginormous tournament, and then like Shu would like realize how fun blading is and that he shouldn't be possessed by his bay or something. There's a lot of possibilities if the snake pit survived. Another thing is that when Shu had his Requiem, Theodore wanted to make it the ultimate bay. So maybe he would invite all 12 of the bladers inside the snake pit and he would seduce them into being corrupted by their bays, because he seduced Shu by this, right? Shu was in the Raging Bulls. When Free joined, he couldn't beat Free. He used to be the strongest in the Raging Bulls. Free's the top blader in the world, though, and he couldn't beat Free. So Theodore asked him, do you want to get stronger? Shu simply said, I'll do whatever it takes. So he made him do whatever it takes and put on a red mask and seduce him into the snake pit and, going under Theodore's command and being seduced by Spryzen. And he would do the same to all the other bladers. He would maybe force them to go against Shu after Shu won the tournament, and he would seduce them, and eventually all the bladers, except for like the really, really like, I guess, not like they know what happened to Shu, and even though they want to get stronger, they don't want to go down this dark path, but I assume most of the good bladers would go down that path, and then Shu and like all of these original bladers and copycat bladers would like, I don't know. I mean, Beyblade's just about, like, Beyblades battling, but maybe it could get more intense than that. Like, maybe they could lead an army, and then they could use their Beyblades to, like, take down villages and, like, seduce the other bladers or whatever. That would be really cool to see. Like, there's a lot of possibilities if the snake pit survived. So, And also, you have to think about, like, if it went through, like, Super King and all that, because with Gwyn and Arthur, like, Arthur wanted to change the blading world. In Turbo, it probably wouldn't change much. I mean, maybe Fi would be, like, an evil villain, and then, like, maybe Shu would beat him and seduce him. I don't really know. What would happen with Fi? Because the Snake Pit, maybe if the snake pit survived, like this is just like fan theory stuff because like the snake pit didn't survive, so I'm doing like a theory on what if it survives. So anything that I say will obviously not happen. Maybe it hopefully might, but it probably won't, just because the snake pit's already gone. Came out like 4 years ago. It's dead. So if it went through Turbo, I assume the whole Turbo arc would be maybe Iger joining up with Vault and then learning about this, and Vault and Iger, like, learn from each other and stuff about, like, their different skills, maybe, and then they try to, like, overtake the Snake Pit and, like, get to the General, like, which is Shu, and convince him to, like, kind of, like, maybe, like, turn to the good side, or since Shu looks up to Ashton and thinks he's this, like, all-powerful blader kind of dude, maybe they could beat Ashton and show him that Ashton's not who he says he is. Like, the strong is not always invincible, because you can always get stronger. And you can get stronger by learning from your friends. Which Bolt and Iger would learn from each other because they're friends. Which would make sense, right? Or, because Shu is getting so seduced by Spryzen, he wouldn't listen to Theodore and he would go rogue on his own. So he would go the Red Eye thing again, and he would already take on the most powerful bladers, and then maybe Ashton would use Fi as the general and somehow already seduce him more than he already is seduced by Phoenix, which he's seduced by Phoenix a lot. Fi is a pretty evil dude. So saying that he's under Theodore's command would be pretty hard to do, but I feel like Theodore's got like the tricks up his sleeve and the bladers to make it happen, and then Shu would go off on his own, like defeating the powerful bladers like Vault, Iger, Free, Louis, and like Louis is this kind of dude who's like, he's not evil like Fi or Lane or Shu when he was possessed by Spryzen, but he's not good like Vault, and Iger and Drum. So he's kind of like just a powerful blader who's kind of a jerk. He's kind of mean. He's got a rough personality, which I don't blame him, because a lot of his life he spent like alone out in seas, according to Gabe Brunei in the first season, and a lot of people thought he looked mad all the time, and nobody really talked to him, so I guess he just thought he didn't need any friends. So I guess that's how Louis shaped his harsh personality, and I guess Louis would also be off on his own, and maybe Shu and Louis would maybe team up? I don't know. Maybe like in GT, Arthur wanted to change the blading world and rule it, but what did he want to change it to? Like, did he just want to create Inferno and make all the bladers rule under him? And like use Gwyn as his like commander or something? Like, oh, that would be, okay, I just had an idea. I just had like an idea in the back of my head. So Theodore would be the owner of the Snake Pit, and Shu would be his commander, with all the copycat bladers and original bladers they seduced, right? Turning bladers evil will be their thing, maybe. And then after that, Inferno is created, Arthur is the ruler, and then he uses Gwyn as his commander, and all the people who just, I guess, don't want to get their bays destroyed, because Arthur's like, anyone who doesn't join my Inferno will be obliterated, and that's exactly what he does. He destroys Drum's Bay, he destroys Delta's Bay, but nobody really else, because, they're obviously the main characters of the series, but if it wasn't focusing on Delta and Drum, I'm sure he would have destroyed all the other people's bays. So if people don't want to get their bays destroyed, they join Inferno, and then maybe the Snake Pit would come and seduce those bladers and take the army from Inferno, and then Arthur would be like off on his own, and the Snake Pit would be all around like rampaging like other teams like the Bulls and the Victories. Maybe he would maybe even seduce Armin, because Armin has always been in Dante's shadow and he wants to get stronger, so he would use that against Armin and seduce him. And then there were other bladers like Delta, he wanted to be the one shining star, and he wants to do that by getting stronger. Plus Delta already has like an evil aura, so maybe he would like seduce all of the bladers that were like powerful, and a lot of them, and he would just keep stealing until he forms this massive army. And then maybe Shu would come back to his senses, because when he sees like Theodore like actually like using like his maybe he would start being Arthur. Like maybe he would use his commander, which is Fi, to start actually breaking people's bays if they don't obey him. So it's kind of like a combination of Inferno after they took Inferno's people. So maybe he would like seduce people, and if they weren't being seduced, he would destroy their base. And then there's this group of like rebels, like Vault and Free, and maybe Shu would come to his senses, like I said, and then maybe who else will be in that group? Free, definitely. He wants to get stronger, but he's not like obsessed with it because he's obviously the most powerful blader in the world, or at least at most the fourth most powerful blader in the world. So a lot could happen if the snake pit survived. And yeah, that's pretty much just my take on what if the snake pit survived and what could happen. I had a lot of ideas, and you guys tell me what do you think would happen if the snake pit survived, or if Theodore was still the ruler. A lot could have happened, and I'm sure there's lots of ideas that other people have besides me. So let me know in the comment section below, what ideas do you have? With that being said, subscribe if you enjoyed, have fun, peace out, and don't forget to keep on blading.